You were saying you feel that it could possibly grind higher here for a few more months. Why is that?
Yeah, well, again, because it's summertime and kind of crazy things happen. And I'm very mindful, Jeff, of last year. I made all of my money in October of last year. Yeah, and I was betting on interest rates at the short end, where they would be in 2010, 2011. So I was betting that the Fed would keep rates very low in a Japanese manner. And what we discovered is that when the Fed was cutting rates aggressively at the start of last year from the heights of 5 to 4 to 3 to 2, the market in its wisdom was pushing rates higher 2 years out. So I was actually losing money. The market, as we were talking about Martin Sorrell, I wasn't calling Martin, I know you think you're God, but I wasn't calling you God. I was just saying that society believes in God and society is optimistic. And even in a year like last year, the small cap index in America, the Russell 2000, by August of last year, it was up on the year. So that was extraordinary, and I'm kind of anticipating this extraordinary rally, whilst we're probably 75% in terms of price from trough to the peak. We're probably 75% of the way through. Why not another 3 or 4 months? And I have to say, probably the bonds have another shock, you know, where the Fed or some central bank starts to say, I'm now bullish and green shoots everywhere, and people capitulate on the bonds. So just now, I really don't have much of a position. So I have a suntan when I have no position, yeah? I'll have a position again and no suntan later in the year.
What is the central thesis in your negative view? Clearly we still have some deleveraging taking place in the consumer sector. Is this about continued destruction of capacity and deleveraging?
Yeah. If only we had actually experienced the deleveraging, because this is Milton Friedman said that the finest economist ever was Irving Fisher, and Irving Fisher wrote the book on debt deflation. Now, as a society, we have taken debt in America just as a symbol for every other economy, to almost debt being 4 times greater than the economy. So when we talk about leverage, which is a vague concept, debt versus our income had gone 4 times, and that's unprecedented. We have 300 years of experience, and we've never been that leveraged, and it's a turning point. People now are fearful of the financial consequences of being so stretched. Now, when we've had such turning points, we've only had 2 previous turning points again in 300 years of data. It has been like a 20 or a 30-year process. When it peaked and began to turn, it was 1929, so we had the Depression. That's why we talk about, you know, is this Depression 2, the Great Depression Part 2? But the point is, it was resolved in the 1970s, 40 years later. You've got Richard Branson. He's 24, and he wants to buy Necker Island. This is what happens when people deleverage. This is what happens in terms of asset values. This is what I'm waiting for. You know, he gets offered the island in the Caribbean for $5 million. And he bids 100,000 and he gets it. That's what you get at the end of a debt deflation. So you get fantastic values, but it takes a long, long time, and you've got to be patient and fearful at this moment in time.
Be back with Hugh Hendry. Squawkboxeurope at cnbc.com is our email address if you'd like to get in touch. Details of Chrysler's deal with the UAW union have been revealed. The Wall Street Journal reporting that Fiat will own a 35% stake in the group. 10% will be held by